So I really enjoy watching Mad Men from time to time, and I decided to watch some episodes last night. And there was something that Don Draper said that really stuck out to me. So there's a scene where he's writing, and you can hear his internal monologue as he's writing, and he says something to the effect of when a man walks into a room, he brings his whole life with him, right? Everything, every decision that he made, every mistake, all of it, right? Every time that he thought he had everything figured out, and then later realized he didn't. Just think about it, though. If you actually sat down with him and just let him talk long enough, he could probably tell you exactly how he ended up where he is, right? He could tell you about the job, the city, right? The woman he married, the woman he shouldn't have, all the turns that got him there. Because most men, they eventually realize that they realize something about their life that they couldn't see when they were younger. Every man that you see out in the world has a whole history behind him. The guy that you see sitting at the bar, the guy that's in the grocery store, the guy sitting in traffic, you, while you're doing those things, what you're looking at is the end result of thousands and thousands of decisions. And eventually, a man, he looks around at his life and he makes this very uncomfortable realization. And it's that he built it, every piece of it. He is responsible for where he is. And when you're younger, that's the thing. You have this picture in your head, this picture of how life is supposed to look, how you think it's going to end up. You think that there's some version of life where everything finally works out. Everything lines up. The job that you get this dream job, you get the perfect relationship, you get the house. Maybe not perfect, but you get what you think you want. And you think you get this feeling, you're going to get this feeling that you've arrived somewhere, right? Like one day, you'll just get to sit back and think to yourself, all right, man, we did it. I did it. This is it. I made it. But that's all bullshit. That doesn't actually happen. You know that. It's not realistic. Even if you do get the thing that you wanted, right? You hit some freaking goal or milestone you wanted so badly, you get it. And then the feeling that you anticipated, the feeling that you thought would come with getting that thing doesn't happen. Or the feeling isn't quite what you pictured it to be. It's not what you expected. I remember, this was a few years back. I remember pulling into my driveway after getting home from work, and I turned the car off and just stared out the windshield. I don't even know how long I was sitting there. And I just remember thinking about life and thinking about when I was younger. And I thought of I thought about the life that I thought I'd have when I was younger. And I compared that to the one that I actually had. Just juxtaposing. And the picture that I had in my head when I was 20, it wasn't the life that I ended up with. Not even close. And then that was it. And then I went inside. There's just a day when something changes in you, when you start really reflecting and looking back at your life differently. And you start seeing, of course, hindsight's 20/20. You start seeing decisions more clearly. The ones that did work out and the ones that didn't. And you just, somewhere along the way, you realize something that's very simple. It's funny how simple it is. It's funny how long it takes for you to get to these simple conclusions. But what you realize is that the world was never going to be perfect. And of course, you weren't ever going to be perfect. Duh. Or not even just perfect, but just the way that you wanted it to be. Of course, your wants and your needs and your expectations change over time, but when you're younger, you just have these high expectations. A lot of the time, they're just very unrealistic. A lot of it's your programming. But when you come to that realization, when you snap out of that, I guess what happens is you finally realize that those were so unrealistic, and you become more grounded in your expectations and in your perception of reality. This is actual reality. Where I was did not align with proper expectations for reality. It was just too pie in the sky, movie-esque thinking. Like I said, it was from all the programming, probably some movie I watched, gave me some expectation that was completely ridiculous. But when you get to that point, you kind of get to relax. And you start to, well, you stop trying to engineer this life that just is completely dumb, that doesn't make sense on paper. You start seeing life for what it actually is. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. You come to the realization that life is complicated and messy. And it's imperfect. And thankfully it's still unfinished. So you got a little bit of runway left. But that Don Draper line, so he ends with this really painful truth. He says that we're flawed because we want so much. But we're also ruined by the fact that when we finally get the things that we wanted, we start missing the life we had before. I can't tell you how many times. There have been so many times where once I got what I wanted, it just didn't matter anymore. It didn't matter anymore. It is true in a lot of ways that you want what you can't have, and when you get it, you don't want it. there's all the things that you think that you thought life was going to be, and then you just come to the realization someday down the road that it turned out differently. And the reason why it did was because your expectations were just ridiculous. They were stupid. They were unrealistic. But that's just a part of being human, I suppose. And there's a moment, hopefully, where a man finally wakes up to all of this and he stops expecting life to look the way that he imagined it would when he was younger. I think that a lot of us, when we're younger, we live in a fantasy world. I know I did. I remember vividly having these experiences as a young lad and feeling like I was in a movie. I felt like I was the main, we're all the main character in our movie, and it felt so cinematic. There were certain moments. Of course, some of them I was on drugs when I was like 19, and it felt like some Quentin Tarantino movie or whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I do remember life being very not unrealistic, just very unpredictable. And when you're young, you have all this runway ahead of you. So your mind just goes in all these different directions of all these different possibilities of where you'll end up. And then when you finally get down half of that runway and you're looking back at where you were, you come to a lot of uncomfortable realizations, ones that are pretty sobering. I think it's a part of growing up. It's a part of maturing, I think. Being able to finally have some proper expectations for your present and your future. Learning not to dwell so much on the past. The past is the past. You're here because of it, the choices that you made, and you just gotta let it go. Let it go, let it go. God, dude. Ugh. I remember dating and then being dragged to that movie. God, it was such a horrible experience. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know if you relate to what I'm saying. I think a lot of dudes will. This is just my 40-year-old brain just rattling off what I think is some pretty hard-hitting truth for when you get to the middle of the road, right? I'm about middle of the way here. If I live to be 80, this is my midlife. I don't know if I want to live to be 80 though. That's the thing. Doesn't look fun. Being 80? I don't know. But I hope this puts something into perspective for you. And it is what it is.